Motorcycle Adventure Dirt Bike TV, supported proudly by Adventure Spec in the UK, Rally Raid Products, Giant Loop in the United States, Adventure Moto in Australia, Pirelli Tyres, Motul Oils, RK Chains and Australian Adventure Bike Magazine.
This is the first of a three-part series reviewing KTM's two biggest capacity adventure mounts for 2021, the KTM 890 Adventure R and the KTM 1290 Super Adventure. In the first two episodes, we'll test these bikes separately, and in the final episode, we'll draw on our experiences to compare the two models and what they bring to adventure. Over the past couple of weeks, we've been living with the KTM 790's replacement, the KTM 890 Adventure R. From a quick glance, it doesn't look any different. Yes, it's got an extra 90cc's capacity, but it's also got 4 kilograms heavier, up from 196 to now 200 kilograms. Is this extra weight worth it? Where has this extra weight gone? And what does this new bike have to offer adventure riders? And for those riders who currently own the 790, is it worth the upgrade? It seemed like only yesterday that Mad TV tested the KTM 790 Adventure R. That bike left a strong impression. The dirt-oriented adventurer proved it had the credentials worthy of the premium price tag, with outstanding suspension straight off the showroom floor, excellent handling, great ergos, and a long fuel range courtesy of that big fuel cell slung low on the bike that surprisingly kept out of the way in the dirt. But power delivery of the 790 engine wasn't linear. That's not a bad thing, but it did take a little extra effort to keep it humming. From around 4,000 RPM, the power came on hot and strong, but before those revs were generated, it was noticeably weaker and didn't have the torque to comfortably take a taller gear. This was noticeable in suburban traffic where riders had to regularly revert to downchanging to keep the engine comfortable. In the dirt, it meant riders needed to be prepared for that surge in power, particularly on flowing dirt corners or technical trails. But it's fair to say many riders revelled in this power delivery. From the spec sheets, the extra 4 kilograms of weight on the 890 has gone into a larger flywheel and reciprocating parts. Theoretically, this should flatten out power delivery and make it more linear. But at the end of the day, you can examine specification sheets all you want. My method is to read less and ride more to gain my appreciation of what this bike is about.
First day on the KTM 890 Adventure R. Been a cracker. Done a lot of tar today. We knocked over about 425k so far. Probably got 150 to go before I get home. Finally got on the dirt. I've been giving a bit of a workout and the bike's been giving me a workout. Really impressed with the suspension, but the thing that really grabs me on this first impressions day is the engine. The linear power delivery is fantastic. It just pulls from nothing, but pulls consistently right through. And that's so different to the 790, where it was a little bit doughy to about 4,000 revs and then it came on. So this is a much easier bike to ride. It's more relaxing, particularly in the urban setting, just going through tight traffic. But you know where it's really good? It's when you come in hot on a dirt corner, and it's right on that sweet spot of about 4 grand where you really need to come on strong. And this power on this bike is just so predictable. It's a real game changer, I think. Yeah, there is some more reciprocating mass involved with this, so it's got a bigger flywheel, but you know, there's probably a couple of kilograms in that, not sure how much, but at the end of the day, the dividend outweighs that increase in weight. I mean, normally you hear me say the only place for weight is on a boat anchor, but look, I'll make an exception for this. You know, when you improve the power dynamics so much, just by putting a little bit of weight in the flywheel and a couple of other things, it's just made a huge difference to the bike. One of the things that has come to the fore today is the cruise control. It's very easy to turn on, very easy to turn off, and very easy just to gradually increase the amount of speed you want to do. Now, I got to say, most of our riding, we spend the first 100 Ks in the city and then we move out into the country and we just fodder for radar traps. And that's the beauty of the cruise control. You can just sit on 60, sit on 80 or sit on 110 or a little bit more, and you know you're not going to get pinged with a fine. The fairing on this bike is a little bit lower to the larger capacity machines, but it's ideal for this bike. Remember, this is a dirt-oriented adventure bike, and what you don't want is that screen hitting you in the throat or in the face. Nevertheless, it does punch the wind about halfway up my visor on my helmet when I'm sitting naturally, and the air flow is very stable, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm still working my way through the different traction control modes, and I need to get my head around that a bit better. But I'm certainly giving it a gutful every now and again and starting to appreciate the dynamic of the bike. ABS off on this bike, it's very handy. It allows for complete locking up of the back wheel, which is great for turning in the dirt. And yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, so once you've put that in the off-road modes, when you you can turn the ignition right off, turn it back on, and it holds your off-road ride mode, it holds your ABS off-road, but the traction control goes to an on position.
I head to my favourite suspension test track, a series of small mistime whoops that I've ridden for every bike I've tested over the past couple of years. Initial impressions? The front forks were outstanding. They soaked up the inconsistency of the trail and efficiently used the travel. Most importantly, when ramming into the up face of a whoop, the compression damping was consistent right through the length of the stroke. I found on this test that when forks fall through the last part of the stroke, because of the short, sharp nature of the whoop, I tend to steer around the whoop. But not with the 890, and a straight line was maintained. These forks are a strong feature of this bike. The performance of the rear shock on these first runs wasn't optimal, and it was clear to me there wasn't sufficient rebound damping. This was expressed by the rear of the bike popping up and hitting me in the backside when I was going down the whoops away from camera. Sadly, I didn't have a screwdriver with me to quickly alter rebound damping, so this adjustment will have to wait until I get home. Compression damping and preload felt good, but it will be nice to return here when I've tuned the suspension clickers after looking at the service manual.
Now, this bike doesn't come with the standard tyres. I asked KTM to put a set of Pirelli Rallies on, and they were very gracious in doing that, because at the end of the day, my riding is more dirt oriented, and that tyre performs consistently well for me in the dirt, and I know it well. But look, the standard tyres on it, if you were doing road trail, I don't have a problem with them. But at the end of the day, people get hooked up on tyres when you do a bike purchase. But if you go on a decent ride, you'll wear them out in about a week or 2 weeks, and you'll be going to buy something else anyway. So people get a bit hung up on the tyres the bike comes with when there's so much selection out there. But for me, I've done a lot of freeway. About 3/4 of today were freeway. And yeah, the knobby tyres, they rattle and roll a little bit on the freeway speeds. But when you get in the dirt, you really appreciate that grip. And I'm really starting to get my head around what the KTM 890 is about. So day one over, great bit of riding. Our next trip away is with Chris Bostelman, who's also got an 890, and Clubby, who's coming away on my 690. And we're going to do some riding around the northwest of Castle Hill there and to see what we can get up to.
As soon as I got home, I headed straight for the service manual before I even washed the bike. I wanted to get this rebound damping sorted. A quick check revealed the rear shock was on the standard rebound setting of 15 clicks. I'm going to take it to 12 clicks, the sport setting, and see how we go. I'm out in the bush with Clubby and Chris tomorrow on tracks with fast whoops and technical stuff, and I'll take a screwdriver with me in case further adjustment is needed.
These erosion mounds are good.
These erosion mounds were the ideal test to see if my 3 clicks of extra rebound improved the handling of the bike. The difference was amazing, and the tendency of the bike to hit me in the backside going off the back of erosion mounds from yesterday's ride was gone. Those 3 clicks had made a huge difference. And now it was time to have some fun. Chris is adjusting his rebound on his bike at the moment on the 890. Now yesterday I was riding this on those series of whoops and I felt the rebound wasn't enough, and I increased the rebound by 3 clicks and made a huge difference and completely eliminated the problem I was having of the seat banging me in the pants. So the clickers are really responsive on these 890s. So Chris, what are you up to here?
I'm just wanting a bit more rebound in.
Right, yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 3 or 4 clicks more. Similar thing, back end's coming up, kicking up a bit.
Yeah.
So just want to slow down the rebound a little bit.
Yeah, so you turn it clockwise all the way in.
Yep.
And then how many clicks are you going to come out?
All I've done to wind 3 on, so yeah. I'd be now at 12. I was at 15.
All right, yeah. Well, that's what I've got mine at, 12.
Yep.
And it's a huge difference between 12 and 15.
Yep, cool. Well, there you go.
Well, there you go. So just show us where it is, because a lot of people don't know where this rebound clicker is.
Yeah, it's hidden down here under this splash guard. Follow the screwdriver in.
Follow the screwdriver in.
Basically.
It's easily accessible.
Yeah, so just in
just
there.
Just at the base of the shock there. Yeah.
And then click.
Yep.
That's it. And then I've got the other tools out, so I'll show you.
What else?
Spring preload's easy, 6mm Allen key.
Yeah.
So it's basically just on the shock here.
Yeah.
And all I've done is just put a little mark at the top, so
where
I
it
know
is.
when I'm running half a click or 1 click.
Yeah.
And as I turn this, you can actually see the preload
going in
here.
Oh, really?
So yeah, you watch.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can see how much is coming through.
Yeah. So if you're having a pillion, like I just had Clubby on the back, the suspension's very sensitive to weight, and that's how you screw it up. So that's its preload, 6mm Allen key.
That's it.
And bam.
So I'll just set back to where I was. So it wind all the way in, and then I was about a turn and a half out.
Yeah. No, it's great to see the clickers actually work. On some brands, the clickers don't, you know, more than 2/3 of the clickers don't work, and the last 3 or 4 do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all I've done, is mark that. So now I can go half a turn.
Yeah.
1 turn, 1.5 turns. And I know exactly where I'm at.
That's good, mate.
Question on the rear shock.
Yeah.
We're doing that as well. So high speed is outside of that, so you can get to that just with a socket.
Yep.
Same sort of system as setting it. I've just put a mark on it, and then I know how many turns I am.
Yep.
And then to do the low speed is a screwdriver back into there, and then I can just wind on and off.
Yesterday I used a long screwdriver, went straight, oh gee that's hot, went under there and through there.
Yeah. And then on the front is easy as anything.
Yeah, rebound on the right.
Yeah,
and compression.
right for rebound.
And
up there.
Yep.
And then compression on the left.
I found the forks perfect.
Yeah, me too. I'm at some off-road comfort at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I generally run bikes a bit soft and not hit things too hard.
Yeah.
And then you've got spring preload on the front as well with those outer.
Yeah.
You can see there the 0, the +3 and the +6.
Yeah.
But, you know, until you're charging hard with luggage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
It's pretty good.
This is nice. Country for these 890s. This is what they like doing. Good brakes. One finger brake operation on these. Whoop. Oh, bit of air. Woo. But still one finger brake operation.
And whilst it's fun jumping erosion mounds and blasting through the bush, it merely confirms what we already know. The bike has great suspension straight out of the box. But a key feature of a great adventure bike is not only how fast it can go, but how effectively it can handle technical trails. After all, this is the place where most riders on big bikes drop it. And it's not the case just because a big bike does open stuff well that it's going to do the slow, challenging stuff with equal aplomb. This series of small but deceptively challenging rock shelves that most riders of big bikes avoid like the plague are my favourite place to test this bike's technical trail credentials. It's fair to say it passed with flying colours, but you make your own luck, and the things going for the 890 are excellent ground clearance, a 21-inch, 18-inch wheel combination that minimises hooking on the obstacle, a low centre of gravity assisted by all that weight of the fuel around your feet, a wonderful progressive slipper clutch, and an engine with a solid flywheel that assists in maintaining momentum, and finally the ergos that encourage the rider to stand comfortably on the pegs in the tough stuff, as if riding a big dirt bike. With the technical stuff out of the way, time to head for home on the blacktop. A real strength of this big dirt-oriented adventure bike is its capacity to relatively seamlessly move from this tough dirt environment to the tar. It's essential that a good dual sporter does blacktop well, and I wasn't disappointed by the 890. But to get the best and safest out of this bike on the tar, the traction control settings need to be set to on-road, ABS road and traction control on. On today's ride, we were frequently moving between tar and dirt, and I got sick of fiddling, and I just kept it in the off-road settings until we finished the dirt for the day.
So turn the traction control on. Traction control's on. Alright, bit of fiddling, let's just do it real time. So that's traction control off. Go to motorcycle, go to ABS, go back to road. That's on. Still fiddling. Alright, go back to ride mode, and it's still in off-road. So I've got to go into that and go into street, and I'm all done. This engine's beautiful for people who are a bit lazy. Just pulls from nothing and consistent right through the rev range. Country riding is really comfortable on this bike. It doesn't matter if you're overgeared, it'll just pull you through. Very relaxing. You don't have to think too hard to keep the bike rolling along comfortably. This is a great test for the engine. Dropping it down 2 grand, pulling through, feel it pulling through, nice and gentle, up to 4. Still, there's no transition like there was on the 790. It's just, there you can come into this stuff overgeared.
Time to take the 890 on a decent 3-day 1500 kilometre loop out to the edge of the Western Plains to experience some longer days in the saddle. In the past, these rides have revealed other features and benefits of bikes that can be overlooked on day rides. It also reflects the likely use of this bike, where time-poor riders will primarily rely on day trips to get out, and if they're lucky, they'll only do a couple of longer multi-day rides during their riding calendar.
We're out on one of the rideadv.com.au rides, and this is the first time we've been out of the city since COVID hit. It's just brilliant. The country's looking so good, so green. And I haven't been on these roads before, so they're great on the 890. I love these straights.
The constant change in riding conditions yet again highlights the huge improvements in power delivery of the 890 over the 790.
Ah yes, we're at the back of Sunny Corner. I know where we are.
Yes, there is noticeably more power, but more importantly, it's usable power that 1 minute can blast you down a pine forest trail and the next confidently take you up a steep, slippery gravel track with its very usable, tractable power that comes on usefully from about 1800 RPM. With the offset crankshaft, the bike sounds and feels like a V-twin.
I'm going to put the MTC on going up this hill. Oh. Let's see what happens. Alright, give it a bit of power. Oh, it still allows slip. Quite a lot of slip actually. I don't know if I'd necessarily been in a hurry to turn off traction control when I've got it in off-road mode, ABS off, and leave MTC on at the moment. Okay, so coming to this corner, accelerate out. Now this one's got a whole heap of erosion mounds. MTC cope with that pretty well. Getting the wheel tracks, it's the first thing. Power off. Keep the power off, and we're through.
Day one of this 3-day adventure was coming to a close. It had been hot and dusty, and we'd been over 12 hours in the saddle. The day's ride had thrown up varied dirt and tar conditions that highlighted the great handling of the bike. I sensed that extra reciprocating mass of the engine gives the bike poise and stability. A key feature that stood out for me was the long-range fuel tank. Out here, it's a long distance between fuel stops, and fuel anxiety is real for bikes with shorter ranges, but not with the 890. Although the bike comes with the optional tech pack that I'll discuss later, I've tried to resist using the key feature at this stage, which is the rally mode with variable slip control settings. But I am loving the quick shifter, which is part of the tech pack. This feature allows you to quickly shift through the gears without using the clutch, and it dramatically increases acceleration. But on long rides, it has other advantages. I appreciate being able to move through the gears in the standing position without using the clutch. It also has a light, direct feel. Tomorrow we're heading further west to Condobolin on the Western Plains. Decent rain is forecast, and it doesn't take too much to turn that thick blackened clay soil into a sticky goo that stops motorcycles in their tracks. Yesterday we banged out around 450 k's, and we're heading out to Condobolin, which is in the central west of New South Wales. Really dusty yesterday, as you can see from the gear, but great riding. Key features that attracted me on the KTM 890 yesterday was the long fuel range. You know, you can get around 400 k's on the tank if you're light on the throttle. If you're heavier on the throttle, fuel economy drops to around 5 litres per 100 k's. If you're light on the throttle, fuel economy is about 4 to 4.1 per 100 k's. TFT screen, as I said yesterday, was really dusty. The TFT screen got smothered in dust. You can still read it, even in bright sunlight. Apart from that, I did a couple of the different modes, but in the end, I continued with the off-road mode and off-road ABS. One thing that truly surprised me was the traction control, the MTC. I left it on for about half of yesterday, and I've got to say it actually improved my riding, which I don't know says much about me, or maybe the technology's just got so good these days that it just allowed me to come into corners and slide the bike quite significantly, but in the same breath it didn't let me go too far on that. So yeah, they're the key features I really liked about the bike. Rally rallies are hanging on. So I've used the Giant Loop Great Basin for this ride. You know, it's a couple of day ride, works a treat on this bike.
Great bit of track. Good fun. Bit of sand, bit of mud. Traction control on, so it doesn't quite slide out as much as I'd probably have fun doing, but I'm okay with that. Standing position on the bike's good. And I kind of every now and again have a yearning for 30 centimetre bar rises, but not often. Whoop-oh. What a great track. You know, that's 890 territory, that. There he is. Wow.
As predicted, the rain steadily increased and was constant for most of the day. A great opportunity to switch to the rain ride mode that dampened, pardon the pun, throttle response and ensured maximum traction control and anti-wheelie is activated. I like this mode in the deteriorating conditions. It noticeably took the edge off power delivery for the road. Just for fun, I left it in rain mode for the first section of mud. It really wasn't useful as there was too much interference of the traction control when it got slippery. For me, the most effective way to ride through slippery mud was in rally mode with a slip control setting of 4.
In that last section there's been a couple of offs, and most people I think are going to tar it, but whoa, yeah, the clubby and I have decided we'll keep going. Just got to ride the rut. God, it's slippery. Whoa. Now I've got it in that rain mode. It might not like this really messy sand. Let's see how we go. As predicted, the rain has come in. It's been a gentle, steady but soaking rain. We've just gone through a section there of about 10 or 15 k's, and the clay is getting thicker and slipperier. And you know, I've talked about the handling of this bike and the low centre of gravity with the tanks and how well it handles. But at the end of the day, the bike is 200 kilograms, and because of this day ride, I've got an extra 20 kilos on the bike and plus me, so it's probably about, you know, close to 300 kilos on the bike in pressing down on those tyres in the mud. And you know, there's a bit of wobble up. Yeah, great handling bike, but at the end of the day, when you get a twin, you get that extra 40, 50 kilograms of weight. Now, it doesn't matter, you know, you can hide it any way you want, but at the end of the day, the bike is 200 kilograms. And we're certainly feeling it today when you're on the pegs and the bike gets a bit squirrely and you'd really wish you were on a little single. And while I might have been whinging about the 200 kilograms in the mud a minute ago, I mean, it handles, for a 200 kilogram bike, it handles beautifully. But this is the thing, you know, when you're in the far west of New South Wales, and that's where we're heading at the moment, you've got that combination of, you know, a bit of challenging mud, and then you've got these big open plains where the V-twin just soaks this up so comfortably. You know, we're sitting on, you know, roughly 100 kilometres an hour, and the bike's doing around 4,000 revs and just soaking this up.
The rain squalls continued for the rest of the day, and the dirt roads across the region were closed. The closest we got to dirt was 10 metres off the road for a photo opportunity, and even that was a challenge.
Now, this is what we mean about the mud. Like, we're literally 10 paces. That's nice gravel, right? And this is that mud out here. Like, it, you know, it's sunny now, and that's what it does to you. And look what it's done to the tyre. Straight away it's full, absolutely full, and it's starting to go on that guard at the back. So I've just got to be careful when I take off to make sure I don't go arse over head. Alright, let's start her up. Oh God, I can hear it. Here we go. Oh God, listen to it. Oh, look at it coming off Clubby's bike.
As we ride the final kilometres into Condobolin, the weather breaks and the country is bathed in sunshine. It's been a long day in the saddle, and whilst I would have appreciated a larger fairing for protection from the rain, at the end of the day that's just not safe on a dirt-oriented adventure bike. The ergos of the 890 are made for adventure, with a comfortable seat and comfortable seated and standing riding positions. For those taller riders, the handlebars can be moved forward and the fairing can be raised. I can't help but keep thinking about this engine that comfortably munches up these miles effortlessly. It really is a key feature of the 890. It's just that good. The final day of our adventure saw the wet weather continue, and most of the tracks and trails we normally would ride were closed.
Road closed, my friends. And I got to tell you, it looks pretty easy there.
Out of Condobolin now and on the Western Plains, and I don't get out here very much, and it's just a stunning flat land, and the area is just full of life at the moment. There's birds. We just came across a couple of kangaroos in single file bounding across the road. The grass at times is up to our shoulders. The 890's doing it all easy. It's just a great bike, and you know, if anything, these last couple of days have just proved to me that it's a good all-round adventure bike. A key option on this bike is the Tech Pack that includes a quick shifter, cruise control, MSR, which is motor slip regulation, and that prevents the rear wheel braking traction when downshifting hard. But my favourite is the rally ride mode with slip control. The Tech Pack adds an additional $1,200 to the ride-away price of $24,470.
Okay, so let's drop it down to 1, and that'll certainly make the difference. Yeah. So you come into a corner like this and you gun it, and you've got much more slide.
Rally Ride Mode offers the rider 9 levels of rear wheel slip control that can be dialed in on the fly through the left-hand switch block. It's been upgraded over the 790 system for a wider range of surfaces. For example, slip setting 1 now allows for more wheel spin in deep sand conditions, and level 9 is comparable to rain mode. For most conditions I select ride mode 3 or 4, but I found if you wanted to make light work of slippery mud, setting 7 gave excellent traction. In summary, if you want to slide the back out, select the lower settings, and if you want to conserve your tyres, pick the higher settings. Time to hightail it back to Sydney on the blacktop. 1,500 kilometres in 3 days on some great adventure trails and country roads has given me a decent understanding of what this bike is about.
I'm really pleased with the adventure we've taken the KTM 890 on. It's been a cracker, and at the end of the day, all we're really chasing is cracking views like this. Have a go at that.
Well, it's time to wrap up my thoughts about the 2021 KTM 890 Adventure R. This is a premium adventure motorcycle with a premium price in a class jam-packed with competitors, some of whom are thousands of dollars cheaper. But a discerning buyer just doesn't look at price, and without question there is a heap of bang for your buck with this big Kato. And whilst it might look similar to the previous KTM 790 model, the revised engine makes this bike so much better. If I was to paint a word picture, this is a comfortable, dirt-oriented, mile-munching adventure tourer with outstanding suspension, handling, fuel range, and most impressively, engine dynamic, straight off the showroom floor. The bike reeks of quality and thoughtful design, be it the illuminated switch blocks, The outstandingly clear TFT screen that succinctly provides the rider with uncluttered information and can be paired to your mobile for telephone, navigation and music. Handlebar mounting has 6 adjustment settings and the windshield has 2. I've done some long hours in the saddle and I found the seated and standing positions comfortable for my height of 178 centimetres or 5 foot 10 inches tall. When I was in the standing position, the bike was narrow between my legs and had a dirt bike feel. LED indicators are bright and reasonably out of the way, and I was happy with the high beam headlight that gave good throw on both sides of the road. For the most part, front brake operation was single finger in all but the most trying conditions. Excellent feel, a strong feature of the bike, and an upgrade from the 790. I didn't notice any fade with repeated heavy braking, and the rear brake had good feel, particularly in the dirt, where it was progressive and didn't lock with ABS off unless a substantial pressure was applied. The clutch is cable operated and feels a little heavy to a rider that is spoilt with having hydraulically operated clutches. That said, the quick shifter more than made up for that by me being able to shift through the gears without using the clutch. The throw of the gear stick is light and concise, and it's very much appreciated at the end of a long day, be it standing or sitting. The cruise control switch was excellent, easy to initiate, but equally as importantly, easy to incrementally adjust on the fly. It's a great feature of the optional tech pack, and I could quickly dial in the desired speed in city traffic with constantly changing speed zones. The fuel range of the bike is a real strength in Australian conditions. Fuel anxiety is real in Australia, particularly when you head out west and, for example, an error is made in navigation. I came close to achieving a 400 kilometre range out of a tank, but I didn't succeed. When you're light on the throttle, I could achieve the low 4 litres per 100 k's, but once I started having some fun in the dirt, fuel economy fell to closer to 5 litres per 100 k's. The 890 suspension was outstanding straight out of the box. Completely adjustable with compression and rebound damping and preload for the forks and rear shock. I discovered the clickers work very effectively, as during my time with the bike I had to adjust the rear rebound damping. The front forks were a noticeable strength and a strong feature of the bike. However, the rear suspension was sensitive to the weight of a pillion, and I would recommend adjusting preload before taking someone with you on the back. Motorcycle traction control was an outstanding feature on the KTM 790, but has been lifted to another level with the 890. Reluctantly, I think I was more efficient and faster in the dirt with the MTC left on, and that's a hard pill to swallow. The cornering MTC is an outstanding feature of the bike that dramatically improves rider safety, particularly with knobby tyres on slippery tar surfaces. It's very difficult for me to convey to you how good this system works. It's not intrusive and, if anything, feels intuitive and at one with the rider. Now, a word of caution for our KTM 790 owners. You've got a great bike and I implore you not to go for a test ride on an 890 because you won't be happy. The 890 engine has a completely different power delivery character, with 10% more power, now up to 77 kilowatts at 8,000 revs, and 12 newton meters more torque coming in at 100 newton meters at 6,500 RPM. There is 20% more rotating mass in this engine. So what did that mean for me? A grunty linear power delivery, very predictable, starting from 1800 RPM that continued to deliver high in the rev range. The benefits were enormous. It's so much easier to move through city traffic, and out on the dirt, that momentum of that rotating engine mass made navigating technical trails easier as the engine was more forgiving and less prone to stall. Out on the fast trails, and the power delivery made cornering more predictable as you could rely on a steady stream of power to slide out the rear wheel. By far and away, this is the strongest feature of this bike. The added benefit is the increased rotating mass gives the bike poise and stability. If there was one consolation for 790 owners, they will maintain their bike has a lighter feel and is more flickable. So what's missing from the bike? Well, rally pegs is on the top of my list as they dramatically increase rider comfort when standing, and they also help with steering the bike. The second thing I would go out and buy is a decent bash plate. The OEM one is just too thin. And finally, a set of bark busters, and that would do me. Well, KTM haven't rested on their laurels, and the 890 has reset the benchmark of this premium adventure package. This is truly an outstanding adventure motorcycle. It might be more expensive than some of its opposition, but it delivers in spades. But I think we should leave the last words to Glenn Foreman, a KTM 890 Adventure R owner, who has clocked up 4,000 Ks on his bike. Before we finish off with Glenn, just a reminder, this is the first of a 3-part series reviewing KTM's 2 biggest capacity adventure mounts for 2021, the KTM 890 Adventure R and the KTM 1290 Super Adventure. A huge shout out to Clubby for helping with filming on this episode.
Lit the taper at 4,000 RPM,
Yeah.
it burns till 4,005 and bang, it goes, doesn't it, mate? But
Yeah.
the thing is, like, you read spec sheets on all these big bikes,
Yes.
and you see 150 horsepower,
Yeah.
and you think, what on earth am I going to do with all that? You know,
Yeah.
and like, I'm not doing anything with all that.
No.
But the thing, it's rideable, isn't it? So what do they call that? Is that a little protector on the rear wheel? No, this is Glennie Foreman's, this one.
Hey, there's a different screen.
Yeah.
How's that work go?
It's okay.
What made you change?
The main reason I changed was to get the GPS further forward.
Ah, right.
That screen allows you to run a GPS further forward, so it's more in line with the speedo.
Ah, right, I get you. It's still out of the road and everything, isn't it? Can I say how many Ks you've knocked off on this?
Probably after yesterday, 4,000 or something.
Oh, wow. And how you found it?
Good, very good thing.
What's the key features you like about it?
Just probably the suspension more than anything. It's
Yeah.
a big enduro bike.
Yeah.
So,
And the range? Like the range?
yeah, 400 odd Ks
Odd.
sometimes.
Yeah, depending on how heavy you are on the throttle. Mate, you pack light too. You're a very economical packer.
It's still got luggage in the luggage.
Oh, this is all false. See, I'm carrying.
This is all for show, this bit.
I was going to say I'm carrying the works. I've got a drone, got 3 cameras. No, it was too good to be true. I thought, God, that is the lightest packer I've ever seen. You got the fold mirrors. These are good. I love that. I got these on my Husky. So what sort of GPS do you run?
Zimo XT.
All right. Oh, and that's the mount, is it? So that little plastic cover that I've got on mine,
Yep.
you just take that off and this is in there for your mount,
And then
for your
because the
GPS.
Zimo is only fairly thin,
Yeah.
it's basically in line. So instead of
Oh, wow.
some of them sit a long way forward,
Yeah,
so you kind of focus, trying to
Yeah.
adjust your focus between
Yeah.
the TFT and the GPS.
yeah. Oh, right. Oh. I saw that little cap there and I never knew how it mounted, but that's really solid, isn't it? It's good. And there's that. See, it says remove for GPS mount. There you go. I've actually seen it now in action. Oh, and what pipe did you go for?
I went for Arrow.
Arrow. What's that? The stainless one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Notice any difference in power or anything, or just like the sound?
I had that exact pipe on the 790 when I had the 790.
Yeah.
So I have taken the baffle out of it. I ran the baffle in it on the 790 and it was pretty quiet, so I've now taken the baffle out of it.
Yeah.
I did put a decat in this initially, but it was way too loud, so I put the catalytic converter back in this.
Yeah.
They claim that it gives it more bottom end with the catalytic converter in.
Yeah.
So yeah, but these things are a fair bit up on torque over the 790.
They are, aren't they?
So you don't need the things to go any faster.
It's interesting you never mentioned engine when you were talking before. Is that something you forgot? Because there's a different engine of the 790.
Over the 790, yeah, definitely. Like the added rotational weight that they put in these things has definitely worked. The amount of torque that these have got over the other bike. The other bike kind of spun up real fast, and these things definitely tractor out of a corner a little bit.
Yeah,
better
to
than
me,
what
I described it as doughy to 4,000, then 4,000 on it go whoomph,
Yeah.
and took off. Whereas this, just a beautiful
Yep.
linear power curve, isn't it? And
Yeah.
a gobs full of grunt.
absolutely.
What tyres are you running on the back there?
Tractionator
All right.
on the back.
Yep.
Currently running a Michelin on the front.
Yeah.
Only because there's no Dunlop rallies available.
Right.
So I was a little bit sceptical when I first used it last weekend. I took it
Yeah.
out to scrub it, and I was a little bit sceptical. But as the day went on yesterday, I had confidence in the front again. So
Oh, it's good.